Let's see. Am I going? It didn't, and I don't know why. We're live on Twitch. Let me tweet this out, and then I'll jump over to Facebook and see if we're going live to Facebook right now. This is the first time I've ever used it this way.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of people doing it, so I mean, it's definitely possible. I've just never attempted it.
I don't see us live on Facebook. I'm gonna have to try to figure this out this week. I need to get with you and Wally and see if we can do early Saturday to do the commentary. And if we can't, it might just be me and you doing a short episode about something. Maybe.
Well, Sunday. I mean, I can do early Saturday.
Okay.
So my weekend's pretty open. I signed up to take a filmmaking class that's over Zoom Saturday at 2.
Okay.
But I mean, other than that, I'm completely open.
Yeah, it's still not live on Facebook, so I'm gonna have to play with this weekend. I might jump on here with you if you can this weekend, and we can tweak the settings and see what's going on with this thing.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Then, if we're not streaming live to Facebook, I'll just post a Twitch link like I usually do.
Yeah.
Let me turn Wi-Fi off. Nerd Cave Retro, where are you? There you are.
Episode 266. We're getting old.
What did you say?
We're gonna be Statler and Waldorf in a few years.
Ooh.
I wish they would do a show. I wish they would do a show with just those two. I would watch.
I would watch that,
dude. Like a Statler and Waldorf adventure. Like that would be awesome.
I would watch that would be like I'd wake up early to watch that, like I would for like Star Wars or Marvel.
Dude, we need to get a hold of Disney Plus and see if they'll let me, you, and Wally write a Statler and Waldorf, either a movie or like a 6-episode season of a TV show. We could do it.
That'd be like a bucket list thing.
Oh my God, how awesome would that be?
My favorite bit from them is actually from Muppet Treasure Island when they're the statues on the front of the ship and they're like, we're stuck on the front of this stupid ship. Could be worse. Could be stuck in the audience. Oh,
those are awesome. You know, I started watching Harley Quinn this weekend, or a couple days ago too. And dude, that show is great.
I've heard good things about it.
It's so good. I highly recommend it. Dude, it catches you like that. It wastes no time whatsoever.
I think Wally's mentioned it on Facebook or something, but you're one of several people that I know that have said that show is really good.
I think you'll really enjoy it. I think you should start watching it this weekend.
I have been looking for something new to watch, so I think that might be it.
I'm telling you, it like wastes no time too. Like it just from the get-go, it just like it's boom. It's like it takes off.
That's awesome.
All right, we've got a few viewers up in here now. So are you ready to go ahead and get this thing started?
Yep, I'm all set.
And I have a new soundboard now too, so I had to get a new soundboard since Podcast Soundboard broke theirs. I had to get this one. It's called Soundboard Effects. It was $4, and it works pretty good actually.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm ready to go. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Programs, and we are here for another episode of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And I am one of the Keyblade Masters, Derek Diamond.
I am the Keymaster. Are you the Gatekeeper?
There is only Zool.
There is no Dana, only Zool. You know, when I was a kid, I never understood what she was saying, like when she was doing that voice. So I didn't understand what she was saying till I got older.
Yeah, a lot of that movie flew over my head when I was younger because I watched it for the first time. I want to say I wasn't like a little kid. I was maybe like 12, 13 when I saw it for the first time.
Yeah.
So like some of it still flew over my head. And now it's like, I appreciate it so much more that I've gotten older.
Yeah. I didn't put it in the news, but they have a new Ghostbusters game coming out soon too. This is going to be kind of like the Friday the 13th, the game that came out a few years ago. We're all going to get sucked into that. You know we are. We're all going to be playing it.
What's going to happen is I'm going to be the one to try and fight it, but I know it's going to be a losing battle.
Dude, it's going to be some fun game nights around here. We're going to be kick up game nights again. I'm pretty sure our Discord would be ready for that.
Oh, I think they would love it. It looks pretty cool, though.
Yeah. But we got a few news stories to get to this evening. You ready to just jump right in?
Let's do it.
Of course, all of today's stories, well, not all of them, but some of them were submitted to us by Mr. Armez Jackson. And if you have a story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And this first story tonight is, of course, from one of our favorite sites, nintendolife.com. Konami is whipping up a free indie games convention for June. Konami announced that it would be hosting a new event, Indie Games Connect 2022 in Japan, that's entirely free to exhibitors and creators on the 26th of June. One of the biggest barriers for entry for fledgling developers and for attendees is the price of these events, so it's a fantastic idea for Konami to waive admission fees for this event, which will be held at the Konami Creative Center in Ginza, Tokyo. Here's a summary of the event, courtesy of Gematsu. Indie Games Exhibition, a place for creators who want as many users as possible to enjoy the games they poured their ideas into, game development consultation for exhibitors, and game developers seminar, a discussion about the future of independent games and creators, hosted by Sony Interactive Entertainment Indies Initiative Head Shuhei Yoshida. If you're an indie game developer, this might be a pretty cool thing to attend if you can get to Japan. And this kind of makes me excited that Konami might be actually dipping their toes back into actually making video games.
Well, I think just, as I'm sure you can relate to as an independent creator of an entertainment medium, costs can get they can pile up very, very high. So I think the fact that they're waiving fees to me is amazing. I wish that other mediums like film festivals would do this as well. So this makes me really excited. Like it makes me happy for all the indie developers who will be able to attend this that won't have to worry about costs as much.
Maybe there will be some indie developers, and welcome Touch Biloxi to the chat room. Maybe some indie developers who want to do, some Castlevania stuff. Maybe, I don't know, what are some other Konami games that, like Contra, maybe working on some stuff that they want Konami to take a look at, maybe dip their toes back into, those type of things. So
fingers are crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Well, that makes me really excited for the actual developers.
Yeah.
Our next story comes to us from NintendoEverything.com. Whoever came up with this must have gotten into my mind because this is amazing. WrestleQuest, a wrestling RPG announced for the Switch. Publisher Skybound Games and developer Megacat Studios today revealed WrestleQuest, a new wrestling RPG. Yes, wrestling RPG. You heard that correctly. A release date hasn't been shared just yet, but we do know a Switch version is planned. And here's the first batch of official details. Powerbomb and pile drive your way through a massive pixel art universe where professional wrestling and RPG fantasy collide. Some of the key features include wrestle with destiny, take a hero's journey in tights, upgrade from aspiring rookie to world champ by training, learning, glamming, and slamming to the top of the pro wrestling food chain. Your idols await, draw inspiration from wrestling icons like Jake the Snake Roberts, Macho Man Randy Savage, and even Andre the Giant. Explore worlds based on their lofty careers. Classic RPG combat meet wrestling moves, match styles, and gimmicks galore. And of course, you've got wild realms, exotic monsters, other fighters, so on and so forth. This sounds like a combination that I would have never put together, but I feel like I'm obligated to get this game.
Dude, I am so into this. I want it right now.
Like, it looks like a really pretty game. Like, it's almost like an SNES game on steroids.
Yeah.
I love the look of it. I like that it has that classic turn-based RPG battle style. I know some people don't like that, but given what the genre of this game is, I think it's perfect. It just looks fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what you want with a game, is you just want to dive in and just have fun. Like, you don't want to have to worry about like a compelling storyline or great graphics. You just want to play it to have fun. And this looks like a perfect game for that.
I think this might be a day one purchase for me.
Yep.
Because, I mean, they got me with the good guys, bad guys, lizards, robots, and more. I'm down. I'm for it.
I mean, when you pull up the article, you see the shot of Randy Macho Man Savage, and I'm just like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah,
like this is a game that will be reviewed on this podcast.
I just hope the WWE doesn't go after him for some of these wrestlers looking a little too close to their counterparts.
It wouldn't surprise me if they did. Well, but let's hope they did.
Why not throw the WWE label on it and make them the actual wrestlers?
Because that makes too much sense.
Yeah, oh well. This next story is also from NintendoEverything.com. Kung Fury Street Rage Ultimate Edition announced for Switch. And if you've never seen Kung Fury, may I direct you to YouTube right now and look up Kung Fury, one of the greatest short films you will ever see in your entire life. But publisher Aurora Punks and developer Hello There Games today announced that Kung Fury Street Rage Ultimate Edition, a beat-em-up adventure, is on the way to Switch. A release is planned for summer. Expect a final release date to be shared soon. It's based on Kung Fury film by Laser Unicorns and has players taking control of 5 different characters, including Kung Fury, Hacker Man, I want to play Hacker Man, and even David Hasselhoff. The Switch edition comes with the Arcade Strikes Back and a Day at the Beach expansions, with the latter piece of content containing an entirely additional experience featuring a 2-player co-op mode, all new levels, and boss battles. I'm getting this. This is definite must purchase.
I think this is a game that you and I need to play together.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't even know they made a game for this movie. Like, why have they not made Kung Fury into a limited series or a full-on like Netflix movie or something by now? Like, it's so out there.
And it's been a while since Kung Fury has been out. It came, what, like 5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah, it was like 2016 or so when that movie came out.
16 sounds right. I remember watching it and just like, I fell in love with it. I want to see more from that universe. So I would love if they did like a limited series, a sequel, or even like a feature.
I think they did make a Kung Fury sequel. Let me just check real quick.
If they did, I don't remember it. But I remember the first one very well.
Yeah, they did. Let's see. Go to IMDb. Kung Fury 2. It is. It's got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it.
Okay, I have to watch this tonight.
No, it's in post-production right now. It expected 2022. It's got Arnold Schwarzenegger, Michael Fassbender, David Hasselhoff. Oh my God, I want to watch this right now.
The testosterone is just dripping out of your computer monitor.
Oh my God. I remember they were talking about a sequel to it, but I hadn't heard anything about it for a while. But it's in post-production right now. And go to IMDb and look at the movie poster, and it's just Arnold Schwarzenegger sitting behind the president's desk with his feet up and a big fat cigar.
As Arnold does.
And I'm just like, I want this now. I want it now. I want it now.
Now.
Give it to me now.
But yeah, we've got to get this game, and we should play this together. Like, I think it would be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I'd want to be Hasselhoff or if I want to be the Triceracop.
Yeah. I got to be Hacker Man, though. Dude, Hacker Man is awesome.
I just remember seeing this giant Triceratops head in a police uniform. I'm like, what the hell am I watching?
It's so out there.
Yeah.
I can't. If you've never seen Kung Fury, you can't. It can't be explained. You have to watch it, and it's only a short film. It's only like 15 or 20 minutes long, but it is so batshit crazy. Like you just have to experience it.
It can't be explained. It can only be experienced.
Yeah, exactly. It's that's exactly it.
So our last news story comes to us from GameRant.com. My Nintendo Rewards adds classic N64 game Keychains. The successor to Nintendo's defunct Club Nintendo service, My Nintendo, is a loyalty program that allows avid purchasers and players of Nintendo products to collect and redeem points for digital and physical knickknacks. While the service has traditionally focused on digital goodies, Nintendo saw fit to introduce small physical rewards in 2020, abruptly discontinuing them in 2021. However, as of March 2022, a number of physical prizes returned to the My Nintendo site. They're now offering a collection of 4 Nintendo 64 themed keychains, which depict the rectangular boxes in which the games originally came packaged, which includes Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, Super Mario 64, and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I'm surprised these aren't sold in stores.
Yeah. Well, you have to have their, let's see, fans will have to accumulate a total of 1,000 platinum coins in order to
complete the set of 4.
Yeah, to complete the set of 4. Like, you know how long it takes to get 1,000 platinum coins for the Nintendo eShop?
I'll be at retirement age by the time I do that.
Like, why not just give me the ability to just order these, Nintendo?
Like, I would buy one. Like, I'd buy the Ocarina of Time one.
Yeah.
And heck, I'd probably buy all 4 of them, actually. Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't be that expensive.
Well, like $10 maybe for all 4?
Yeah.
You would have to buy like 1,000 Switch games to get enough coins in order to get these.
You would spend enough to where you could buy 1,000 keychains.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, at least Nintendo's doing something, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I would love to see them do something. I don't want to say the keychains are bad because I mean they look cool. There's a couple of pictures of them on the article, but I'd like to see them do something with a little bit more substance. Like, I don't know, like one of these framed pictures that I've got behind me.
Yeah.
Do like a specialty Zelda one or a Mario one or a Metroid one. Yeah. That'd be really cool.
I would dig that. I don't know. I like keychains, but I don't know if I would actually use these. These would just be, you know, like I would hang these up somewhere.
Yeah, because I don't know how big they are, but they might be like just big enough to where they'd be an inconvenience to put in your pocket.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I'm not a big keychain person anyway. Like, I just have like a basic ring that my keys are on. And that's it. I don't have any kind of like, you know, keychain dongle or anything. So I don't know. I probably wouldn't use these.
Yeah, they'd make for cool like little keepsakes though.
Yeah. But that's it for the news this week. Let's go ahead and we'll do this month in video game history. That is low. There we go. On March 15th of 1994, Mega Man 6 is released for the NES in North America, the final installment of the mainline Mega Man games on an 8-bit home console.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I know we mentioned it numerous times, but the fact that the NES's lifespan continued years after the Super Nintendo, and with franchises like Mega Man, which you think they would have just moved over to the Super Nintendo. No, they didn't do that until the X series.
Yeah. I don't really dig the X games. I mean, I know people love them. I know they're good games, but like we've said before, too much dialogue. Way too much dialogue in those games.
I'd love to play more of them. I reviewed the first one a while back, and I do agree it is a little too dialogue heavy because I don't have like the memories of Mega Man that you do. Mm-hmm. So I thought to myself, do all the games have this much dialogue? Because from what I remember, I played a little bit of Mega Man 1 and 2, and I just remember you dive right in. I wish Mega Man X would have been like that to a degree. Like, I don't mind there being dialogue in those games. But when you think of Mega Man, you think of just, you know, straight up platformer, fighting, all the bad guys taking their abilities. Like that's what you want to do and not sit through a ton of dialogue.
I was talking with Touch Biloxi in the chat room about keychains and how I don't like to use them because I don't like having bulging pockets. That's why I don't use keychains. He says my pocket's always bulging. I put extra things in my pockets to intimidate my opponents.
As one should. As one should. Yeah, he also says he wants to play Bowser's Fury. I really want to play Bowser's Fury too for the Switch. The Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. One of these days I'll get it.
Yeah.
Let's see, where are we? Okay, March 25th, 1994, Bethesda releases the Elder Scrolls Arena for MS-DOS, the first game in the Elder Scrolls series. This blew my mind. I had no idea that the Elder Scrolls games were that old.
I knew they were old, but I don't remember this game at all.
I don't either. It looks like the cover looks like a cover of Heavy Metal magazine.
That is not a good cover art for this type of game.
That's somebody who just threw something together and said, yep, that's good. We're using it.
It looks like it would be on the side of a van in the 70s.
So you remember in the most recent Cobra Kai when Johnny gets the Dodge Caravan and he paints the giant eagle on the side? That's what this makes me think of.
Yeah.
This would be on the side of Johnny Lawrence's van.
Like the Elder Scrolls to me have a certain aesthetic, with their game art, their box art, especially the games themselves. They always have that kind of realism, that gritty, Middle Ages style, like look to them, like everything's dirty and gross. But this, like, just go, if you're listening to this, go look at the box art on Wikipedia. It's terrible. I mean, it's awful.
Yeah, it's bad. Well, I think we're spoiled with games like Skyrim and Oblivion that had great graphics. I mean, not to say that they have bad graphics now, but we're used to that certain expectation of what an Elder Scrolls game is going to be like. You think of pretty high quality work when it comes to those games, because you think of like how long were people playing Oblivion?
Yeah.
Even after Skyrim came out.
I had to give Oblivion up after a while because I couldn't stop playing it. So I sold it to a coworker. It's like, please take this away from me.
I was the same with Skyrim. I remember going to get that at midnight at the GameStop in Pace, and then went to a friend's house, and we all brought our Xboxes because we all got the game, all brought our own TVs and everything. We had like 2 people per room, and we played it all night.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop, and I was like, you know what? I gotta give this up.
Yeah, Touch Biloxi says, hey man, the arena cover got the half naked lady on it. What more do you want? If you look at it, she's so misproportioned. Like, even for like, this style of, heavy metal style art, it's just awful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go there, but yeah, it's just not a good cover.
Yeah.
At all.
Let's see, March 24th, 2000, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards is released for the N64 in Japan.
This game got very mixed reviews when it came out, if I remember correctly. I've never played it, though I do want to at some point. I know the new Kirby game is either out or it's about to be out. It's
about to come out. Have you seen the trailer for it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it looks fun. Like I remember you changed your opinion on the Kirby games because of the show.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious about Kirby 64 because I never played that. I didn't play any of the Super Nintendo games up until recently because I think it's Kirby Superstar is on the eShop. Mm-hmm. So I've played that off and on, but my experience from Kirby is from Game Boy or Smash Brothers.
Yeah, the NES version that I reviewed was the first Kirby game I'd ever played, and it completely changed my mind about Kirby because I had such a hardcore view that Kirby was a kid's game, like that's like kid stuff, and it's not. It's one of the best platformers for the NES.
Well, in Kirby, like people don't put Kirby in the same level as like a Mario or a Zelda, but it has its fan base. And I remember
Yeah.
there was even a Kirby cartoon back in the early 2000s that I think it lasted for a couple of seasons, but
I think
you got to be
it's
pretty popular if you get your own show.
I think it's just because he has that cutesy kid stuff look about him that people don't really give it the respect that it deserves.
Touch Biloxi says favorite Kirby of all time, and the cartoon was the bomb. I remember it had a very catchy theme song. It was called Kirby Right Back at You. It came on around the same time as Sonic X.
I don't remember
on
that
Fox.
at all. That completely passed me by.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that I still watched cartoons through high school and beyond into my mid 30s, but I digress.
Into my 40s.
Fair enough. And last but not least, March 21st of 2001, the Game Boy Advance handheld is released by Nintendo in Japan. Also, to back up the GBA's identical graphics to the SNES, an enhanced remake of Super Mario Bros. 2 was launched. I can't remember if it was last week or it was very recently on the show. I talked about the confusing numbering with the Mario Advance games because Super Mario Advance was Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah.
Super Mario Advance 2 was Super Mario World. So it got very confusing, but I adored the Game Boy Advance because my love of the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
That's basically a portable Super Nintendo because you could play games like the Mario All-Stars versions of the classic Mario games, Link to the Past. So many great games for the Game Boy Advance. Still doesn't get the credit it deserves, I think.
But now we're before we go into the review tonight, Derek has shout outs.
Yes, as always, we'd like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro, where we want to shout out Tyler Watson, AxeBlade07, Daniel Salmon, Armez Jackson, Hand Solo, Carlos Longoria, aka Rampage, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Joey Image, Ron Johnson, Mixmaster, Mike Eveland, Jennifer Eveland, and Mr. Brandon Rutledge. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions and keeping the lights on here at the Nerd Cave Retro Show. And if you're a Patreon subscriber, you get early access to our fun monthly bonus episodes, which usually consist of commentary tracks like the one we did last month, which was a 90s filled nostalgia fest with Batman the Animated Series and Gargoyles. We'll be recording our bonus show this weekend. Not quite sure what we're going to commentate on just yet, but I'm sure I speak for you too. I always have fun regardless of what
it doesn't matter what we do. It's always fun.
And it's usually the worst quality of shows or movies is what makes the best. Like the Double Dragon commentary track is still one of my favorites just because we shit on that movie so hard.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
I really want to do another episode of Captain in the Game Master. That's one of my votes.
It's been a while. Yeah. So I'd be okay with doing Captain in the Game Master.
So I'm down
but yeah, if you want to be a part, of our awesome Patreon community, just head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, be sure to send us your social media info, whichever one you prefer, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or email, so we can give you a proper shout out.
And tonight we'll be talking about So before we go into the review for Kingdom Hearts tonight, I do want to give a huge shout out to Mr. Atlas, who sent me this game along with the extra PS2 he had a few months back, and he sent me a couple of games with it. This was one of the games that he sent with it, and thank you to him for that. So everybody, for this review is all thanks to him. So give him a golf clap there. But I'd honestly never played this game before. Never even really heard or knew much about this game, even though as big a gamer as I am. These games just never really passed in front of me at all. Like I just didn't pay attention or thought it was a kid's game or whatever. But until a few years ago on one of my older podcasts, Pop Culture Palette, Stephanie, this is one of her favorite, like Kingdom Hearts is her favorite series of games of all time. She was constantly talking about Kingdom Hearts, always waiting for a new Kingdom Hearts game to come out. And so when this came in the mail, I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is that game that Stephanie likes. And if you'd have asked me before I played this game, if you'd have asked me, what is Kingdom Hearts? I really honestly didn't know much about this game. I would have said, I don't know, it's Final Fantasy mixed with Disney. That's kind of the impression I had about it. That's about it. Like, going into this game, I really had no idea what it was going to be like, what it was going to play like, if it was going to be like turn-based action or what it was going to be. So if you've never played the Kingdom Hearts, it's a series of action role-playing games developed and published by Square Enix. Originally, it was Square before Square and Enix merged. It's a collaboration between Square Enix and the Walt Disney Company and is under the direction of Tetsuya Nomura, a longtime Square Enix employee. Centers on the main character, Sora, and his journey and experiences with various Disney and Pixar characters, as well as some from the Square Enix properties such as Final Fantasy, The World Ends With You, and Einhander, in addition to original characters and locations created specifically for the series. So I first popped this in, a couple of months ago when I got the PS2, played through the first sort of like 10-minute tutorial of the game, and then you get to the island, and that's where I kind of stopped until I started playing it again a couple of weeks ago. I want to say this game is definitely a slow burn, and it took a long time. It took at least 2.5 hours to get to a point where I was like, okay, I understand the appeal of this game now. And I know you had something to say about that as well.
Yeah, so my experience with this game is very different from yours because I was extremely aware of this game because as a kid of the 90s, grew up with the likes of Aladdin, Tarzan, Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm mentioning these specific movies because they're featured in the game. So Disney was very much immersed in pop culture. Not to say that it wasn't before, but it really experienced a rebirth in the 90s because of movies like Aladdin and The Lion King.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was Lion King that really got Disney. Well, I don't know. Maybe it was Little Mermaid that really got Disney back on its feet because Disney had a rough time throughout the 70s and early 80s.
And I had never played Final Fantasy, but I was very much aware of the games. I can remember watching friends and watching my uncle play games like Final Fantasy VII. And then I heard, I can't remember exactly where, but they're like, oh, there's going to be a cross between Final Fantasy and Disney. And I'm like, what? Like, I like, it's a combination you would never expect. But I think, Disney, no matter what age you are when you're introduced to Disney, and I know Disney's been the source of a little bit of controversy lately, but there's something about that childhood Disney magic of movies from when you were a kid that still capture your imagination and just captivate you. So I knew I didn't even really care what the story was. I said, I want to play this game just to see what it's like. So I remember getting it not too long after it came out. And it was a game that I went back and forth on playing because there's a lot that I really like about it, but the game does have its flaws. And I especially see them more now that we're about to be 20 years after the release of it, which I'm sure we'll get into the pros and cons. But yeah, I remember Kingdom Hearts very well and being very excited for it whenever it came out.
Yeah, getting into the game, the first, I'd say probably hour and a half, 2 hours of the game, you're on an island and you're just kind of doing little chores and things like that. And I was like, what is this? Like, I was very, very skeptical of the first couple of hours of this game.
Yeah, it's you hit the nail on the head. It's definitely a slow burn. The tutorial takes a little too long, in my opinion, and I get the island setting and you having to see the friendship between Sora, Riku, and Kairi.
But you could give me that in a cutscene.
Yes, yes, you can. I completely agree.
And another thing,
I get.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I get why they do it because of events that happen at the end of the game. But you go ahead.
The game, and this is not really a complaint because I don't need to have my hand held during games, but sometimes I need a little direction, and I feel like a lot of the island part was me just kind of accidentally moving the story forward, because this game does not hold your hand at all, and I just kind of stumbled across where I was supposed to go and what I was supposed to do, and I feel like if I had been given a little direction or a little push, I would have gotten through it a lot faster.
Well, it's such a contrast between the tutorial and then when you go on the island, you don't really know where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do. And you eventually figure it out. After the first thing you do, everything else kind of falls into place. But I agree that there should have been a little more like, hey, go to the other side of the island and do this, or go talk to this person, and then
Touch
you go from there.
Honestly, yes, I did win the race on the island. It took me, I think, about 30 tries to finish and beat him. But that was one of those things, like, I just kept doing this stuff over and over again because I didn't know what else to do until I finally somehow triggered what was the girl's name that's on the boat that tells you to go get all the stuff, like the coconuts and the fish and all that kind of stuff?
You talking about Riku?
Riku, yeah. Because I kept running past that boat and nothing was there. And then after I did the race or whatever, which was about to drive me through the wall.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't, and that was my biggest complaint. And the biggest complaint about this game is the fact that you have to do platforming in this game, but you have no control really over the camera, and you're in a 3D world. Now, you can move the camera with your right and left trigger, but it's so slow and clunky. I want the freedom to look up and down and move around fast. So I'm trying to, win this race or do platforming throughout this game. I can't freaking see where I'm going. I can't see where I'm supposed to be jumping. And 9 times out of 10, I would just have to blind leap of faith.
Well, that's a problem that a lot of those games had in the early 2000s, those early 3D platformers, because Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 have the same problem too.
Yeah, Atlas.
It's like a lot of developers couldn't quite figure out how to get the camera right.
Yeah, Atlas in the chat room says the controls have not aged well. And Touch Biloxi said they have fixed it in the remaster really well, which I was going to ask if any of our listeners have played the remaster, the 1.5 remaster, I think, for the Switch. I think it might be out for PS4 too.
It is.
Did they fix the camera? Because I was fighting that camera the whole time. Because I'm trying to move the camera, and it only moves, left or right around your character. But when I'm like on a platform and enemies are popping up and I'm fighting them and I'm falling off of ledges and I'm trying to move the camera around, like I can't. It makes me want to bite the controller in half because it's so slow and clunky. They have to have fixed that.
My biggest complaints of this game, because I think I played it maybe like 2 years ago, the camera, as you mentioned, the combat has not aged very well. Like I don't like the targeting system.
It's a button masher. It was really hard to like lock onto which character I wanted to fight, especially when you move on after you get past the island. You move on to what was the name of that city?
Traverse Town.
you run around there a little bit. You do some quests. Like you meet up with Donald Duck and Mick and Goofy. Who they've had their own kind of side story going on at the same time as you during cutscenes and things of that nature. You meet up with them, and then you go to your first world on the Gummy ship because you're trying to find Mickey. Mickey has gone missing. People in the kingdom are losing their hearts, so you've got to go find these. You're fighting an enemy called the Heartless, and so you're going on to these different worlds. So the first world I went to was Wonderland, Alice in Wonderland. And I'm trying to fight enemies, and Donald keeps getting knocked out in the middle of the fight because I don't know how to switch, targeting for whatever enemy, so we can all hit the same enemy at once instead of all three of us fighting, different enemies at the same time. It was kind of frustrating.
But to me, also, when you start actually going to different worlds, because what you have to do is all the worlds are basically unlocked essentially, so you have to use the Keyblade to lock them in their own separate worlds so that the Heartless are gone. They're not invading those specific worlds anymore. That's when the game really picks up and where you find its charm, because when you start going to Wonderland, when you go to Agrabah, when you go to Halloween Town, like the nostalgia really kicks in. And really where it kicked in for me the first time I played it was when you go to, I believe it's called Atlantica, the Little Mermaid world, and you start hearing Under the Sea.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm still in the deep jungle with Tarzan right now. I'm like 6 hours into the game, and I'm just now like in the middle of deep jungle.
I was a little disappointed in Deep Jungle only because it didn't have Phil Collins music.
But it's kind of nice to replace Donald in my in my little party with Tarzan, because he's a little more scrappier than he takes a little more damage than Donald does.
True. One of my favorite aspects of this game is the music. Phil Collins jokes aside, what I like about the tracks for each world is that even in worlds like Traverse Town and the island, it has that Disney feel to it. Like you're like, I could see this being in a Disney movie. Some of it is, redone versions of classic Disney songs, but I still think the overall soundtrack is a very nice mix of, RPG, Final Fantasy-esque type music mixed in with a Disney feel.
Yeah, I really like the music for this game. I found it getting stuck in my head, actually, over the last week. And yes, Tuxbull, actually, I know I'm doing the episode, and I'm not even past the first 3 worlds, but we already had the episode scheduled, and I was playing it as fast as I could. So, but I enjoyed it, though. I really did. I understand the charm of the game. I really want to keep going, but I'm also at a point where not sure if I want to keep going on the PS2 because I'm not enjoying the controls. So if they do fix that in the 1.5 version, I would rather purchase and play that on my Switch, honestly.
Well, isn't the Switch version, that's only in the cloud though?
What do you mean?
I think you have to be connected to the internet to play it.
Really? I didn't know that.
We talked about it a few weeks ago. I want to say it's in the cloud. I'll look it up real quick to confirm, but I believe it's available for the PS4 as well.
Yeah, I could get it for the PS4 or the Switch. It honestly doesn't matter which one. It'd probably be better on the PS4 as far as graphics and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I'm at a point in the game where I really didn't want to go much further, because if they have fixed that with the controls, I'd much rather play it on PS4. I think I would enjoy it a lot more, because I feel like the game is so immersive and I love the world that it's creating. And I'm a huge fan. Like Alice in Wonderland is still one of my favorite Disney movies of all time, and just getting to that world first and experiencing that, like, that was such a nostalgia trip for me. And everybody was like, "Oh man, that first world sucks." Like, I really enjoyed it. Like, it was really good.
That's how I was with going to Agrabah, because Aladdin's, like, how you feel about Alice in Wonderland is how I feel about Aladdin. So just being in Agrabah, seeing the palace, seeing, you know, Aladdin, all the Aladdin characters, just, it made me feel like a kid again.
Yeah. But I was really getting a kick out of the game. But the bad thing is those controls just kept ripping me out of the experience because it's just so unwieldy. And I get it. You know, this was 20 years ago that this game came out, and we're still in that that era of gaming where they hadn't quite figured out that controlling the camera in a 3D world, controlling the camera with your right thumb is just standard. Like, that's the only way this works is to be able to control the camera with your right thumb. Because the whole time I'm playing, I keep wanting to use that right thumbstick to move the camera around.
And it is confirmed you have to have internet connection to play Kingdom Hearts on the Switch.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. I'll just get it for PS4.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same, because I played this comes with 1.5 and 2.5. I never beat the sequel, so I'd love to go back and actually finish that. And I still haven't played the third one.
So my birthday's coming up, so if we have any listeners that want to gift it to me on PS4, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Touch Biloxi says the fight with Genie Jafar also bodied me. It was really surreal fighting those bosses. Like, you'd never think you'd be fighting like Genie Jafar in a video game.
See, that's the cool thing about this game is you had those cutscenes where you start to see the bad guys that are behind everything, and you're like, holy crap, like, just the cutscenes themselves look so good. Even at this time on the PS2, they look spectacular.
Well, and that was another thing that was, you know, a dream realized, because as a kid you think, what would happen if Maleficent, Hades, all these other like iconic Disney villains all team up, and that first cutscene where you see all of them together was just, it was surreal.
Yeah. And I had no idea there were so many Kingdom Hearts games. I mean, you got Kingdom Hearts.
That's another complaint of mine, but I'll get to that in
Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Kingdom Hearts, which is a direct sequel to the first game, but then you've got Kingdom Hearts 2. Takes place 1 year after the events of Chain of Memories. So it's really Kingdom Hearts 3?
This is the bad part of it being a Final Fantasy hybrid.
Yeah.
So Chain of Memories was a game for the Game Boy Advance, which I did play, not too extensively. It wasn't terrible. It was different from the first one because you would use like card game mechanics. So you'd get different cards that you would use for different attacks. Damn. And that's how you would fight enemies. So it was very different. It did add more to the story, but you look at the list of spinoffs like Kingdom Hearts Coded, 358/2 days. And all this time I'm like, just give me Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
And then it was even longer wait. It was almost a 15-year wait between 2 and 3.
And they're all over the place too. Like Kingdom Hearts 2, let's see, Chain of Memories was on Game Boy Advance. Kingdom Hearts 2 was on PlayStation 2. Kingdom Hearts Coded is an episodic mobile phone game. 358/2 days was released for Nintendo DS. Birth by Sleep is a prequel to the series released for the PlayStation Portable in Japan. Let's see, Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance was for the Nintendo 3DS. Oh my God, there's so many. Kingdom Hearts 3, let's see, was in 2010 for the... Said it was developed for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Are those out on the PlayStation 4? Kingdom Hearts 3?
Yes. So yeah, the Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't come out until 2019.
Okay, because it says 2000. Oh, wait. It says in September 2010, Tetsuya Nomura stated that his team was too busy with other projects such as Final Fantasy 15 to work on Kingdom Hearts 3. So it didn't come out until January 25th, 2019, and January 29th worldwide.
Yeah, the anticipation for that was pretty high because it was a 15-year gap near about between 2 and the actual Kingdom Hearts 3.
So they really did go Final Fantasy on this thing.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like that's another big complaint of mine is that I like the universe. I like the characters. Like I'm talking about the non-Disney ones. Like of course I like the Disney ones, but I just kept thinking just give me a true sequel. Like the spin-offs are cool. Like if you want to do a couple, that's fine. But you're kind of going overboard.
Yeah. But I mean,
it doesn't take away from the charm of the original game or the sequel.
And I think if you're like, it is sort of the combat is sort of button mashy, which I don't mind. I like a good button masher. But like I said, it gets kind of frantic when there's multiple enemies on the screen, and
when you can't control that camera.
Yeah, you can't control the camera. You can't. It's really hard to switch between enemies so that you're all attacking like the same enemy at the same time. But I think if you are a Final Fantasy fan or you're a fan of like 3D button mashing kind of games, and if you're definitely a Disney fan, I think you would highly enjoy this game if you've never played it before. But I would suggest getting the 1.5 remix for either the PS4 or the Switch, which I think I'll enjoy it. Even though I did enjoy it, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it at all. It just had a lot of nitpicky things that really yanked me out of the game, like the enjoyment of it and the immersion of it. I think I'll enjoy it a lot more playing it on the remaster, the PS4.
Well, I think back then we just looked at the combat style as that's what it is.
Yeah,
because this game came out in 2002.
Yeah, it's what we had then.
But we've learned so much more since then.
Like I said, we've learned. Game developers have learned that right thumbstick camera is just industry standard from that point on for all 3D environments. Like there's no other way to do it. There's just not.
Yeah, this conversation is really just making me want to go get the remaster for PS4 and actually, see how much better it is.
Touch Blake said, "Look, man, you got to realize Sora has his memories turned into an action-based card game, so that when he was put in their pod, that blonde girl could draw pictures of him."
That's going way deeper down the rabbit hole than I know.
I think he knows.
But I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I think he knows a lot more about these games than I'm just scratching the surface, and he's like down at the bottom of the iceberg.
So one random thing I'll mention. So he's talking about Ansem, who is an antagonist in the game. Back when I was doing the Nerd Cave podcast, the first convention that we ever went to and did interviews, we did one with the voice of Ansem. His name's Richard Epcar. He's been, a famous voice actor for years. So that kind of makes me think of that whenever I think of Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, and I think back to, when Stephanie used to tell me about this game, and I used to see people at, like Pensacon and like different conventions and stuff like that, people carrying around the Keyblade. And I always thought it was like a Final Fantasy thing. I'm like, what is? And Stephanie made one for herself, and that's when I finally realized because of her, I was like, oh, that's for the Kingdom Hearts game. Like I had no, and it was really fun to get into the game and find out what that thing was.
Yeah, from what my understanding is, some of the prequel games delve more into the mythology of the Keyblades and what they really stand for. So it's just a really cool looking device, and it's one like I have not like a real replica, but I have a replica of the Master Sword, eventually I want to get a Keyblade to put, somewhere in here.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah, I knew it was going to be tough. Like everybody was kind of going to yell at me because like I said, I'm 6 hours into the game, and I'm like, I don't see the end in sight. I'm like, how long is this thing? And I would like to revisit this at some point when I get the PS4 version or the Switch version and get further in and play the entire thing. And I just wanted to kind of talk about it this episode because I know everybody was kind of looking forward to it. And I know I'm not very far into it, but I am enjoying it. I get what everybody finds enjoyable about this game because I like Disney too. I'm not a hardcore Disney fan like somebody like Wally is. I can't tell you little tidbit facts about like some everything about the parks and the movies and everything. I'm not that big of a Disney fan, but going to the Alice in Wonderland world was really fun for me. I'm excited to get to the other worlds that are in this game and experience them. And I'd like to do that in a way that doesn't suck me out of the game. And I felt like if I'm going to move forward, I think I would rather play it when it's more playable. And that's kind of why I wanted to maybe put out the call to our listeners. Like if you've played the 1.5, and Touch Biloxi already talked about this in the chat room, and Atlas, yes, they did fix the camera for the 1.5. So I think that's what I'm going to do to continue to play this game. I'm not so far into it that I'm going to be like, oh, I don't want to go through all that again. I think I can get through everything pretty quickly now that I know what I'm doing. And
with better controls too.
Yeah, better controls, and they haven't changed up everything, too much. Sometimes when they do a remaster, they kind of change things up on you, and it's a little different. But I feel like I can get to where I'm at in the game now pretty relatively quickly. And really enjoy the game from here on out because I really want to play this game and enjoy myself and not be thinking, oh, this sucks. Like, oh, I just want to, like, why can't I do this and that? Like, it just kind of sucks you out of it. If I'd have played it then, it would be a different story because we didn't know any better when the game came out. But now at this point, 20 years later, I want to have an easier time playing it.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun game to go back and revisit because there's still so much that you haven't seen yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, I know there's a ton left in this game, and I want to see it. I really do. I'm having a blast.
But I was curious to get your thoughts on the game and knowing that you didn't have like the same memory of it that I did. Like this was your first time really getting into it. So
yeah, I mean, this is basically me going into the game cold. Like I knew nothing about this game going in. And I'm really surprised by it. The first little bit was a little too long and could have been done in a cutscene. But I understand it was early in this type of game, development. So we've learned a lot since then. And I feel like if this game was made today, that whole island part would have just been either a cutscene or a 5-minute, 10-minute tutorial, and it would have been done. But I feel like because the game just did not handhold me at all, I kind of accidentally moved the story forward.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, we'll see what happens after, we play the remaster. Cause I'm curious to play it as well. Cause I went back and played a little bit of this a couple of years ago, but it was before the remaster came out and I haven't had a chance to play that yet.
And as much as I liked the Alice in Chains, the Alice in Wonderland,
Man in
the box, the Alice in Wonderland world, I felt like a lot of that too was me kind of stumbling through it and accidentally going where I was supposed to go. So do they fix that as well in the 1.5 version where they kind of steer you in the right direction a little more? Or is it still sort of, you kind of just, accidentally move the story forward by going into the right room or finding, a place in like a hole in the wall you're supposed to go through.
You're just like, yeah, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, they'll
They're
figure
smart.
it out. But yeah, excuse me. I really enjoyed what I played so far. I'm not going to give it a score because I'm nowhere near finished with the game, but I am enjoying it. I understand what everybody loves about the game. I get it. I love Disney. I love Disney movies. Some of my favorite movies, are Alice in Wonderland, Sword in the Stone, Robin Hood, though, this type of older Disney games. So I'm really excited to see what comes next and what world I'm going to be going to. But like I said, I want to do it on the remaster.
I think that's a very smart plan.
And I think if you're a PS2 enthusiast and you like that sort of like playing the original game, original the way it was meant to be played, and you have a PS2, I would recommend getting a copy of it. It's not that expensive. I think you could pick up a copy for like $10 these days because it's not, it's not rare by any means. I've seen it at the retro shop we have near me. I think copies like maybe $10, $8, $9, $10. I don't think any of them are like hard to find or anything.
And if you're a collector of PS2, I think if you were to have 5 games from the PS2, this is definitely one because of just the mix of nostalgia and just overall good storytelling. Like the game is not without its flaws, but it's still a good game that's worth playing.
And it's also good to go back and see where we came from too, because there's a huge transition from, the 2D side-scrolling, games we had in, the 80s, 90s, and then you moved into that 3D world, and it was wonky for a few years. So we really come a long way. Like you look at, like Red Dead Redemption and all those games, Assassin's Creed, you look at those games that we've got now, like Elder Scrolls games, and you go back and you play this and you're like, man, we've come a long way in a short amount of time.
That we have.
But I recommend it. I would recommend anybody to play this game if you're a kind of a RPG fan, because it's not hardcore like JRPG. It's not like, it's not random encounters and things like that. It's not, and I found it to be very user friendly. Let's say that as far as an action RPG goes. So I really had a good time with it. I think you will too, but definitely go pick up the 1.5 version for either the PS4 or the Switch, and I think you'll have a really good time with this game.
Get it for the PS4 because the cloud service sucks.
Yeah, I don't like cloud service, so I'm definitely getting the PS4 version.
Same.
But next week, you are going to be talking about Mickey's Speedway USA for the N64.
As recommended by one of our Patreon subscribers, Mr. Tyler Watson. And I also found out Rare developed this game.
Really?
Yes, they did. So I had no idea.
It's going to be good.
We'll see, and you know how much I love Rare.
So Tyler Watson was in our Discord today, really worried that I was going to bash this game. And I told you I'm going to be kind. I'm not I don't hate this game at all. I really like it. I think, it's totally justified, everybody's love for this game. I get it. I see it.
Yeah, it's honestly making me want to go back and play it because it's one of the first times that I felt nostalgia was seeing the worlds that took place in the Disney universe, as well as just even seeing, that opening cutscene with Donald, Goofy, and Daisy and Minnie.
And those cutscenes look great too.
They do. They really do.
But yeah, and speaking of our Discord, if you'd like to join our Discord, I have a link on top of our Twitter page at Nerd Cave Retro. We'll take you, follow that link. It'll take you straight into our Nerd Cave Retro Discord, where everybody's hanging out. So come hang out with us. We're in there all day talking about stuff. And that link never expires. That's at the top of our Twitter page. So if you want to come hang out with us, follow that link, and it'll take you right to our Discord. But yeah, this was a fun episode to do because I was kind of dreading it because I was like, I feel like I'm not that far into the game, even though I'm like, I look at the game timer and I'm like over 6 hours in. I'm like, good Lord, how long is this game?
No, we had good conversation about the game, so I thought it was great.
But yeah, so what you got coming up this week? I know we got your wedding in a few weeks. So
in a few weeks, yes. So I think for those who didn't listen last week, I think what we're going to do for our bonus episode is we're going to review Sonic the Hedgehog 2 when it comes out in theaters, if we're both able to see it opening weekend. And then there'll be news soon. I don't want to give a concrete date just yet, but there will be news soon about the return of feature presentation.
Oh, cool.
So it'll be soon, and I've got some cool things in the works with it that might include the show being featured at a local festival here.
Oh, that's
Pensacola.
cool.
So more to come on that. The show's on hiatus for right now, but all the episodes are still on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you want to check out the video versions, they're on YouTube. Just search for Feature Presentation, and be sure to follow me at Feature Pres Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to find out when the show will be coming back.
And this last week, I submitted Monsters Anonymous to the Smodcastle Film Festival, and so everybody, please keep your fingers crossed. And I'm hoping because Brian O'Halloran is in the movie, we get picked. And if we do, I'm going to go up to the Smodcastle Film Festival when it's happening. And I think August it's going to be happening. And I would love to be there for that. So fingers crossed.
That'd be sick.
Oh, it'd be so cool. And another thing before we leave, I just want to tell everybody, I just put a post up on Patreon for the show we got coming up on April 6th. So go, if you're a patron, go read that post. And please, everybody, go leave us a review wherever you listen to the show, especially if it's like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, trying to get us back up in those top slots. So if you can, just take 30 seconds out of your day to go give us a thumbs up and say, very good show. Or even if you hate us, go on there and say, these guys are idiots. Don't listen to it. But either way, it puts us right up the top of the list of reviews. So if you could do that for us, thank you guys. That would be awesome. So Derek, is there anything else we need to talk about before we get out of here?
No, I think we're good.
All right, let me get the soundboard here. It's a little unwieldy. I got to get used to it. If you would like to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdcaveretro, and Instagram and Twitter at nerdcaveretro, and individually at jfunktastic and at Derek_Diamond. We have merch for sale. We got shirts, like if you're watching on video, you can get this one right here. Get in, user. We're doing video game stuff. Go get that shirt. We can get you don't even need a shirt. You can get a mug. You can get bags, all kind of stuff. Stickers at ncrmerch.com. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/nerdcaveretro, where as little as $1 a month gives us keeps the lights on here at the show. And also leave us a review if you would. So Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
Wow.
Gosh.
Master Blaster runs Bartertown.
You blew it!
Well, that was a fun episode.
That was really good. It felt good.
Yeah, there was a lot of people watching tonight. Had like up to 5, 6, 7 people watching us tonight. But thank you guys. Solitha Mystique. Well, you're a little late. Just now in the chat room. We're about to be done. And Atlas and Touch Biloxi, thank you guys for hanging out in the chat room tonight.
Absolutely.
And, I hope I didn't disappoint you guys with my review. I did I tried to get as far as I could in the game for the show tonight. And like I said, I do want the 1.5 so that I do want to revisit this at some point. And if I can get the PS4 version, I'll play it over the next couple of months and come back maybe, I don't know, like maybe late summer or so, early fall, and do a complete revisit. Yeah, I'm not putting 40 plus hours. Is that how long it is to play this game? 40 plus hours?
That sounds about right.
Oh my God.
I can't say anything because I put over 100 hours in Breath of the Wild.
Wow. Yeah, I did too. I think my last count was like 76, 77 hours or something like that. But that was nothing compared to not Oblivion, but
Skyrim.
Holy crap, I put a lot of time into that game.
Yeah. I still remember the first time I fought a dragon and I legitimately got afraid. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, I put a lot of time in WoW too, World of Warcraft. Dude, I did one right before I stopped playing, and I did a slash played, and it was something like 13 days or something. I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to get that time back. And when I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to be like, can I get that time back, please?
Just some more hours, please. Please.
But thank you guys for watching tonight, and I'm going to go edit this thing up and put it out. So if you missed it, it'll be out in just a little while. So you guys, thank you for hanging out, and we will see you next week.